Hello and welcome to a presentation about the role of women in William Shakespeare's Hamlet, presented to you by Jonathan. This theme statement is, despite the fact that Hamlet only has two typical female characters, Ophelia and Gertrude, the play conveys volumes about the uniquely painful and tough efforts and hard misfortunes that women had faced throughout human history. Hamlet set in the Middle Ages and written in the early years of the 17th century, when women were not even allowed to be on stage, exposes prejudice and disadvantages which limited or eliminated the options available to women, even noble women. Hamlet is obsessed with the women in his life while also expressing disgust and mockery for their actions that Shakespeare eventually argues are necessary for them to exist in a cruel, unfriendly, and patriarchal society. It's safe to say that two of Hamlet's most misunderstood and underdeveloped characters are Gertrude and Ophelia. This being said, in my presentation, I'll be talking about the role of women in Shakespeare's Hamlet and how women are treated in this play. Let's go back through history just to get some insight on how different women's rights were in the 1600s. Women were not allowed to go on stage during Elizabethan times. In Elizabethan times, acting was considered a male profession. In the first ever Hamlet play, Gertrude and Ophelia were both played by men. Women were not allowed to go on stage until the late 1600s. Gertrude in William Shakespeare's Hamlet is the mother of Hamlet, and she is also the Queen of Denmark. She is currently married to Claudius, the murderer of King Hamlet. Gertrude is a female name given with Germanic roots, meaning spear and strength. Trudy, which was initially a diminutive of Gertrude, has grown into its own name. Ophelia in William Shakespeare's Hamlet is the daughter of Polonius, the sister of Laertes, and was romantically linked with Hamlet until the beginning of the play's events. Ophelia is a Greek name for a girl that means help. In Shakespeare's play Hamlet, Ophelia is the sad maiden who loves Hamlet. Gertrude is one of two women in Hamlet. As I already explained, women are very mistreated in Hamlet, and it shows. Gertrude's weaknesses would be that she makes terrible decisions. She's adamant about her status as queen until she marries Claudius. She didn't give herself enough time to mourn for her husband's death, King Hamlet, and only thought about her status and staying the queen. She didn't think about her son's sentiments, and she decided to marry Claudius. In scene 1, Act 2, Hamlet said frailty thy name is woman, which essentially means that women are weak, and I assume he believes this because his mom betrayed King Hamlet by marrying Claudius, just a month after King Hamlet's death. This quote really shows how disrespected women were during these times. Ophelia appears to exhibit signals of independence through her speech. Her behaviors are mostly dictated by the demands of others in her immediate vicinity, such as Polonius and Laertes. As a result, when faced with ambiguity of Hamlet's love, she chooses to be faithful to her father and brother rather than herself. This is due to the fact that Ophelia is present as a most weak character who has tendencies to doubt her own ideas when confronted with doubt from others, which contributes to her manipulation and over-skeptibility to be influenced. In short, Ophelia is a product of her time, such as the late medieval period's historical and social setting. With this in mind, Ophelia might be seen as a conformist to societal position forced on her, which is obvious in both scenes questions. A suppressed, less privileged woman who may be bought and sold, much like an object of a man's emotions. Gertrude's obedience is quite obvious in this play. For example, Claudius deceives his wife, Gertrude, by not being honest with her. Also, he does not inform her that he assassinated his brother, her first husband, and Prince Hamlet's father for obvious reasons. He manages to persuade her to marry him quite quickly following his brother's death, and one may suspect that some manipulation is played here as well, given that she does not wait for the traditional period of grieving before remarrying. Claudius is also not entirely truthful with his wife about why he takes Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to Denmark. He claims that all he wants to do is figure out what's causing Hamlet's distress so he can help him fix it, but he appears to be far more doubtful of Hamlet than that, based on what he addresses with him, taunts his unmanly sadness, and refuses to allow him to return to Wittenberg. Furthermore, on the night of the performance that so enrages Claudius, he agrees to Polonius' plan to discreetly listen in on Hamlet's chat with Gertrude, putting Gertrude in an awkward position. She did not want her son to realize that Polonius is listening on their conversation, but she also believes that she is being watched. She advises Polonius, fear me not, or don't doubt me. Ophelia was way more controlled over than Gertrude was, potentially because she was seen as way younger, less mature, and ultimately more obedient. "I shall obey, my lord," Ophelia promised when her father told her to stop visiting Hamlet. She later did exactly as she was taught when Polonius used her as bait to spy on Hamlet for King Claudius. She followed her father's regulations as long as she was single. Of course, if she's married, she'll have to follow her husband's rules and regulations. Ophelia, in essence, has no control over her relationships. Ophelia is one who had to spend her entire life obedient to others and had no feelings of her own freedom. The issue with being fully obedient and submissive was that she was unable to fight back when she needed to. Hamlet suspected Ophelia of assisting her father Polonius in spying on him, so he accused her and all women of being breeders of sinners and sentenced Ophelia to nunnery. She couldn't call Hamlet on how rude he was to her because she was seen as an innocent girl, and she couldn't confess to Hamlet she understood what he was saying when he was cursing at her. He too kept going and claimed that if Ophelia married, she'd transform her husband into a monster or a cuckold because she'd cheat on him. And then he'd added a little "I love you not" to the sweet nothing. All of this appears to shatter Ophelia. Finally, her reputation hinged on her claiming that she was unbothered by whatever he's saying. Now I will be showing a scene in the movie where Claudius controls Ophelia.
Be scant of breath. The queen carouses to thy fortune, Hamlet.
Gertrude! Do not drink.
I will, my lord. I pray you pardon me.
I dare not drink it.
This is my works cited. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your time.